Today we're celebrating the well-deserved retirement of Canine Grimm, which I'm sure you all are familiar with. So please help yourself to some refreshments. There's a retirement gift card in the back before you leave today. I want to recognize in the audience, we have Grimm's original owner and handler, Karsten, I hope I'm saying your last name right, Ingenpaz. Was that close enough? Okay. If you want to stand up. Stand up. So this was Grimm's. So he traveled all the way from Germany with his mom today, and so he helped us celebrate Grimm, and so we're excited to have him here with us. So thanks for coming all this way for this day. So I want to talk briefly about our Canine Program, then I'll turn it over to Canine Grimm's partner, Sergeant Eric Mclaughlin, to talk about Grimm's career and their partnership, which began in 2015. After our presentation, photographs can be taken with Grimm over here. Hopefully he's going to be willing today. I think he's in a pretty good mood today. Outside afterwards, we have tents set up in the parking lot, and we have a couple of our other canine teams here you can meet and learn more about our canine program. So our canine program began in 1993 with 2 canine teams. 30 years later, we have 7 teams. Last year, these 7 teams deployed 716 times. In addition to working patrol shifts, handling calls for service, Canine Abby works the jail, so is very busy keeping the jail safe. In order to become a canine handler, our handlers have to have 5 years of police experience. And being a canine handler is not a career move. It is a lifestyle change, make no mistake about that. It's a 24/7 time commitment, and the handlers are responsible for the care of the dogs. Even when they're off duty, when they go on vacations, that commitment is still there. So canines become a member of each handler's family. However, they need to have the supervision at all times during all interactions. That's quite the commitment of our canine handlers. So I want to say thank you for doing that. Our training commitments for the dogs also, the cross-trained dogs, are about 8 hours of organized training a week and 4 for a single-purpose team. However, every day for these handlers and teams, training day is every single day. The handlers are constantly training the dogs throughout their shift each and every day. And outside of weekly training, these canine teams attend 2 in-state training seminars. They also attend national canine seminars, and to stay up on current trends. Case law is always changing, so staying on top of the current case law, which helps the risk side of handling these teams. So making sure we're doing things right and that we're doing things the way they should be. And our canines are required to pass tests and to meet state certification standards. As you can imagine, the time that the handler and the canine spend together on and off duty, they develop very strong bonds. And yet the handler must be willing to send their partner into harm's way. And I can tell you that I don't think I have what it takes to be a canine handler, that's for sure. So at this time, I'd like to bring up Sergeant Eric Mclaughlin and Canine Grimm so that he can share more about Grimm's career and their partnership.
Off. Well, like any stressful, I don't know if this is in, like any stressful time, I had the last minutes of running up and down the stairs trying to find my notes, so I didn't forget to say stuff. So Grimm's not this out of shape already. We just got done running a bunch of flights of stairs looking for some paper. First off, I'd like to say thank you to the sheriff, thank you to the PIO division for organizing this. Thank you to the family and friends. Excuse me, this is gonna be tough. Thank you to my family and friends. You guys, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. This is a lot harder than I thought. Thank you to our community. We've got Becky, she's a local artist. She's done some phenomenal work you'll see out by our car with Grimm. The love from the community has been amazing. I got into the Canine Program years ago because I wanted to be able to reach out and kind of build some bridges with the community and also have fun with dogs, which is my favorite thing. Grimm has been an unexpected pillar of what being in the canine unit can bring and can do. We've developed relationships with people around the country and around the world. Carson, thank you and your mom for coming. We now have 4 dogs that have all come from Karsten. This is Grimm's son over here, Iox, who was also raised by Karsten. These dogs do some phenomenal things at the sheriff's office in work, but they also come home and they live with us, and they live with our kids. And the foundation that Carson instills in these dogs allows us to be able to do that seamlessly. So thank you, Karsten. I want to say how Grimm and I met, which is 2015. I unexpectedly had to retire my first dog because of health issues. The sheriff's office does a phenomenal job of quality of life for these dogs. We don't work them until they're broken. And so my dog had to retire because of health issues. I went down to California with my sergeant at the time, and he asked me what I wanted in my next dog. And me being the seasoned, in my mind, seasoned handler, I knew that I had an 80-pound Malinois, and I wanted a small dog. I wanted a dog that was about 60, 65 pounds. And I was like, and I want a Dutch Shepherd. I want to try that because my first dog was a Malinois. So we show up, and the first dog out of the gate, they give us a list, and we have 2 dogs that we get to test at first. And my first dog was a 65-pound Dutch Shepherd, and I'm like, this is exactly what I asked for. This is kind of cool. And so we go and we mess around with the dog and play with him, and I liked him. It was okay, right? So we put him in the kennel, and there's about 20 different departments there. We're all standing around waiting for the next dog to come out of the kennels, and Dave Reaver, the owner of Adler Horse, comes, looks like he's riding a horse on the way down the ramp. And this dog comes out, and you see everybody look, and they're like looking at each other like, wow, like he's big. And they look down, and they're like, who's got Grimm on their list? And my sergeant and I look, and it was us. And I picked up the leash, and something about the dog, his eyes, I didn't want to put the leash down. So I was dumb. I went with the big dog. And again, right, I had goals in my mind. I wanted to work with our SWAT team. I wanted to help our special units in investigations with narcotics. I wanted to do all these things, but it takes a special dog to be able to do all of those things. And Grimm was able to accomplish those over his career, and I'll touch on that. A few things that Grimm got me into that I was definitely not expecting, and I never had on my bucket list getting into the sheriff's office and getting into Canine, was our experience with Hollywood and TV stuff. We initially got back and were invited to this TV set of Grimm TV show, which was filmed here in Portland. And so we got to take him tour the sets, and some of the cast members got to meet them. And it was kind of a neat experience. To clarify, Grimm was not named after the TV show. Hey, off. This is retired life here. He was named in Germany after the Brothers Grimm fairy tales because he looked like a little wolf. I went on vacation a few years later. I came back from vacation, and my sergeant came up to me and he says, hey, tomorrow you're going to report to the TV set, or the movie set of, it was called a different thing, but it ended up being Leave No Trace with Ben Foster. And I was like, really, why? And he's like, well, he goes, this big agency where it's filmed at didn't want to do it. None of their handlers wanted to do it. And you weren't here to say no, so you get to go. And I was like, fair enough. And so I was really nervous. This was going to be an interesting kind of experience. The first part of the film, when we go in and we started shooting, was on a hillside out in Eagle Creek at Eagle Fern Park. And there were ferns everywhere, and they were patting the guy down when we found him in the woods, and they were dropping all the knives that were on him, and the set, they couldn't find 2 of them. And so I'm standing down there talking to our producer that was working with the stunt teams, and I was like, oh, that's funny. They have like 10 people out searching for all these knives, and they can't do the next shoot because it's dangerous weapons up on the hillside, and they won't have the actors go back out there. So I told her, I'm like, oh, that's funny. I go, that's what Grimm does. He finds articles with human odor on them. And so she gets on her radio, clears the hillside, and I kid you not, 40 plus people come out of the woods to watch us go on this hillside to search. And I'm like, well, this is pressure. So of course me, like most handlers, don't trust the dog. And I'm like, don't let me down. And I send him up the hill, and it took him about a minute and a half to find both. One was buried from somebody stepping on it, and it went into the ground. And it was phenomenal. It was great. And everybody cheered, and I'm like, I knew it, right? So we also got invited to compete on America's Top Dog, which is a competition show on A&E. We were down filming, met some great people. We actually got to run the course. And then we had the terrible fires here in Clackamas County. I told those producers that I had to get back, and so Grimm and I flew back. So we were never actually on the show, but we did get to run the course, and it was a pretty exciting time. I think he would have done really well on that. So over his career, I'll touch on some of his things. Grimm deployed over 600 times for our patrol division and on our SWAT teams for article searches and finding suspects. Here, hop up, off. Grimm also deployed about 200 times for narcotics deployments and investigations. He assisted in 366 arrests. His estimated total narcotics evidence that was seized was around $2.7 million. Grimm and I's longest track that we had for a suspect through a rural part out near Oregon City, between Oregon City and Canby here in Clackamas County, was about 2.8 miles. It took us about 2.5 hours to clear through properties in the wooded area, where Grimm eventually located the suspect hiding on somebody's property, and that person was taken into custody. Without a dog and without our teamwork from multiple agencies, like things like that would not be happening, and that person would have continued on with what they were doing and victimized the next person that they were at. So with all these things that Grimm does for the patrol stuff that I just listed, we also go to community events, things similar to this, usually where I'm not talking as much, but we go to preschools, we go to grade schools, high schools, senior centers. We even participated at the county fair with our captain back in the day, running around chasing a clown around the rodeo fairgrounds. So we've gotten to do some pretty neat things. But it does take a special dog, and these dogs here are perfect examples as well of dogs that you can do all of the patrol stuff and then go out with the community. Grimm's also got me onto social media, as you can see from some of these crazy photos. I've dressed up as Donald Duck. I've dressed up as a safari guide with him as a lion. Some pretty embarrassing things. So he's gotten me into that kind of stuff. And our network of community that we've touched has gone beyond Clackamas County. And we get support from all around the country and even some other countries as well, which is just appreciated. And I know some of you guys are here that do follow him. And Grimm and I have appreciated each and every one of you. It's things like this where you guys can ask questions and we can answer them, and we can kind of build relationships in a world today. It makes a lot of sense, and these dogs are a huge reason why we can do those things. Grimm also competed in the Washington County Canine Trials, which he won several awards, one of them being the fastest dog out there. He ran about 60 yards in, I think it was 5.3 seconds. I don't do that, which is why I have a dog. So even though he's about 100 pounds, that dog could move. He's a very, very athletic dog, still to this day. The question I always get asked is, what's going to happen with Grimm? Grimm's going to retire. He's going to live with the family. So he will stay with us. So there'll be no change on that end. He's going to continue to be a pillar in his community. We help local foundations in the area, to include the Friends of Clackamas County Canine, which was set up to help our retired dogs once they retire and help with medical bills and random things that each dog needs. Again, it's the support from all of you guys that helps fund that. It's the love from all of you guys, and I just wanted to let everyone know I appreciate everything, and thank you all for coming and taking the time out of your day today. Tradition goes when a deputy or officer is retiring, we do a last radio call, seats. And again, the sheriff and the PIO have set up with our dispatch center to do that today. So I'm going to try and turn all this stuff up. I've unplugged, so I'm good to go. And we'll see if I can get this when they're in the middle of our dispatch and for our patrol here. Seats. 5 David 95.
5 David 95.
5 David 95. Canine Grimm is 10-7.
Canine Grimm, we want to thank you for nearly 50 dog years, otherwise known as 7 years, of distinguished service with CPSO, serving the citizens of Clackamas County. We appreciate you ensuring the safety of our deputies and other neighboring agencies each and every shift. Ending your career with about 200 narcotic detection deployments and 600 patrol deployments, your presence will be missed. Canine Grimm, the community appreciates the time you spent with the demonstrations, meet and greets, visits to schools, senior centers, to the county fair. You have touched the hearts of thousands in your career. Congratulations to a welcomed retirement. Continue your work with your neighborhood watch group. We wish you all the pets, chew toys, and treats. Good boy, Canine Grimm.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate your support and well-deserved retirement, Canine Grimm. Thank you, Eric.